I had a very important question that was posed. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Or are you already that person that you imagined when you were in your formative stages of creating your identity? You remember when you were a kid and your imagination would run wild and you would think about being an astronaut or an athlete or an entertainer or a doctor or a lawyer, some level of leader, something that was beyond your current circumstance. It started in your imagination. It started because you saw something perhaps that sparked your imagination. Maybe you were encountering it on a daily level because you were around people that were living out something that was attractive to you. Sometimes we will encounter people who are doctors because their parents were doctors or their grandparents. We will encounter people who are in entertainment because their family was in entertainment. We find people who are athletes because their parents were athletes. And so we can choose a path based on the impressions that are put upon us as we're growing up, or we can simply create it of our own imagination. You'll hear stories of people and they'll say, well, no one in my family ever did this, but I just had it in me. I don't know where it came from. I just had this burning desire to become this. And that is the power of the human imagination. It's the power of what we choose to tune into. For what you tune into, you turn into. I don't think that it was a mistake or a happy accident that Archie Manning played quarterback and then he birthed with his wife two sons. He had multiple children, but there were two sons, Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, who both went on to play quarterback in the NFL. That's not that's an incredibly rare thing. Like I don't know that anyone actually maps that out, but I do think that the belief was instilled because they grew up being impressed by what they saw in their immediate environment. And it was a norm. It was day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And so the programming in their mind was, well, this is just what I do. This is what I'm going to do. And then Eli saw his big brother doing it. And he's like, well, that's what I'm going to do. It's just what I'm going to do. So there was a belief, there was a conviction about who they were going to become. You couldn't preordain the athletic ability that was going to necessitate that pathway. But that's just the power and the biology of belief. There's a really great book called The Biology of Belief, where when you look at someone's DNA structure, you can actually influence your DNA with discipline. So you'll hear someone say, "Well, my family has a proclivity to diabetes." Okay, well, because my grandmother had it, my mother had it, and I'm sure I'm going to have it. Well, that's a belief, and that will affect the biology. But then you'll have someone else whose belief is, I can actually dictate my DNA with my discipline. I'm going to eat the right foods. I'm going to exercise every day because I didn't see that in my lineage. I didn't see that they were vigilant about what they were putting in their bodies, about their discipline with their exercise and their fitness. I'm going to do all of these things so I don't have to deal with the idea of diabetes entering into my zone. And then you'll discover that that person doesn't have any diabetic symptoms or any inclination in that direction because they're utilizing discipline to influence their DNA. And then you'll have someone who comes from a completely different circumstance, and maybe they didn't know their parents, or they grew up in foster care, or their parentage was a totally different career track, and then they ended up doing something totally different and changing the world. So again, that question of who do you want to be is really dictated by the imagination, and then the outcome, like do I actually achieve that, is based on my discipline, my actions, and how I'm utilizing my time. And I want you to look at doing a time map as we're coming in for a landing to 2025. And you can do this anytime. It doesn't matter if it's the end of the year. You could be looking at this, 26, 27, or beyond. Do a time map. And what you do is you chart how you're spending your waking hours every 30 minutes. And you literally just make a note. So from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m., I was doing personal development. I was doing some study and reading. And then I spent another 30 minutes catching up on some of the NFL games from the weekend, watching some of the recaps. That's so I can account for how I spent those 30 minutes here. I had another 15 minutes of just getting up and getting dressed and having coffee. So boom, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. So I'm doing time mapping. And then from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., I was prospecting, I was reaching out, I was returning direct messages, I was looking at my text messages so I can start replying to those at 8 a.m. And then from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., I'm responding to text messages. I'm returning phone calls from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'm making phone calls, etc. So you do a time map, but you can account for how you're spending every 30 minutes. And if you're doing something for an hour, that's fine. But here's the reasoning behind it, because you're going to discover some of your built-in time leaks, some of your built-in time wasters, some of your built-in time distractions. And what you'll discover is that there might be segments of your day where you're just wasting time. You might be scrolling and you think it's only for a few minutes, but you're actually scrolling for half an hour, because you click on one thing and then you click on another thing and then you click on another thing. You go down the rabbit hole, you look up, a half an hour has gone by. It doesn't feel like it. You're not really thinking about it because you're not time mapping, but you have a built-in habit now of wasting time because you get sucked into the vortex of the weapon of mass distraction that you're holding in your hand right now as you're watching this. So remember, you want to use your phone instead of your phone using you, and understanding that the mechanisms that put the phone together and the dynamic of social media, internet algorithm, those things are cleverly created and designed to grab your attention and to keep your attention. So it's not an abnormal thing for you to lose track of time in the social media vortex. That's what it's created for. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars have been poured into this in order to distract you from your purpose, from your goals, from your path. So when you do time mapping, it allows you to get greater clarity on what you're doing with your time. And you can literally just do it for 48 hours. You may do it for a week, but anywhere from 48 hours to a week will allow you to really identify where some of the holes in your time are, so that you can say, okay, I can do better here. I realize that I'm not being efficient in these parts of my day. These are some opportunities for me to really get intentional and put that time and put it towards my business, building my business, put it towards the promotion I'm working on, put it towards the idea that I want to develop and bring to the market, putting it towards family time, relationship time, parenting time, whatever those priorities are for you that are in alignment with who you want to be. Now you got something. Now you're starting to build a habit and a circumstance that is under your guidance, under your control, instead of you being controlled by all of the elements of distraction that are constantly coming at you. You're actually taking ownership and responsibility, and you can dictate the outcomes. Who do you want to be? How am I spending my time in order to manifest that? And see, this is the power of creativity and the power of imagination. We've encountered so many stories of individuals who literally just created their life. Now, you may be familiar with this is a holiday favorite, so I want to talk about it. It's called Rudy. It's a movie called Rudy. And it's about a young man who grew up having a dream of attending the University of Notre Dame and playing for that particular team. Now, he did not have the physical abilities, the physical stature to be a starter in anybody's college football league. Like it just, he didn't have that gifting. However, he had the gift of imagination. He had the gift of creativity. He had the gift of obsession, because your obsession can become your possession, even though it seems unlikely, unrealistic, even delusional. I have found that some of the most impactful people on the planet have a delusional quality to their imaginings, because if you simply base what's available and what's possible on quote unquote reality, you probably won't reach for much. You probably will kind of settle into a comfort zone, and you'll never really discover what is in you. And in order to get to the revelation of the inner layers of what's in you, you have to dig deep. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable circumstances where the outcome is unlikely, but you'll never know if you don't really stretch and reach for that. So throughout the course of the movie, you see him growing up and he's idolizing this institution. He's dreaming and imagining this over and over and over again, even though his father and his brother works at the steel mill. And because they work at the steel mill, he's thinking like, I don't want to go down that path, even though I have to do it temporarily. This is not going to be my life because I'm going to go to Notre Dame. His family's kind of laughing at him, but he does have at least one person that believes in him. And I think that was his older brother that believed in his dream. But whether you have someone that believes in your dream or not, what's most important is that you believe in it. And so you watch him. The first step is to gain acceptance into the University of Notre Dame. He didn't have the grades. He didn't have the academic standing to even get accepted into the school, but he didn't let that stop him. And so you watch him go to a local community school and earn the grade point average to gain a probationary acceptance, a conditional acceptance into the University of Notre Dame, provided that he maintain a certain level of academic standards. So he goes through that initial obstacle, that initial hurdle, just to get on the campus. Now, a lot of people at that stage would say, well, maybe it's a pipe dream. Maybe my father, one of the most influential voices in any of our lives, is telling me it's a pipe dream, son. You're going to work at the steel mill with me and build your pension. Like, give up this silly dream of going to the University of Notre Dame. You're going to have the grades. Like, what are you talking about? But he didn't allow those things to derail him. He stayed focused. He kept his eyes on the prize. Remember, what you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. He stayed focused on his outcome, his dream, and who he wanted to be. He wanted to be a football player for the University of Notre Dame. So he gets in. Now he has to get on the team. He didn't get a scholarship. Nobody was looking at him when he was playing in high school. So he goes to the tryouts as a walk-on. And he understands that he's got one shot to make an impression. And he puts forth so much ridiculous, obsessive, insane effort when he's on the field. Every single time he's on the field, He literally is out efforting everyone else. He's probably the least physically talented, the least physically gifted person in these tryouts and on the entire Notre Dame team, but he refuses to allow anyone to outwork him. That's 100% in his control. And so by doing that, he gets the attention of not all the coaches, but enough of the coaches, then they say, man, if we could take this dude's hustle, this dude's drive and energy and heart and place it in some of our more physically talented players, we would be undefeated out the gate. And they said there were enough coaches, okay, because not even the head coach was really feeling him, but there were enough coaches that said, you know what? We need some of that. Like we want some of that around our team because that's a value add. This man is adding value by how he shows up every day. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you showing up every day for your goals and your dreams, for who you want to be? And are you making enough noise that the universe says, wow, this woman right here, she's dialed in. She's absolutely committed. She's not going to give up. She is relentless. Let's give her some help. Let's have her meet some other individuals that can help her to her goal, to her outcome. This man is absolutely obsessed with this outcome. We're going to have to make some room and let's get him some more wins because he's not giving up. So let's go ahead and make a way for him. He's not a wimp. She's not a quitter. We got to make a way. Because most people, when there's resistance, when it doesn't look promising, they're going to give up. They'll quit. And so as you go through the movie and you're watching Rudy, you see all of the stages of rejection where it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And it's happening to him over and over and over again. He will not relent. He will not relent. And there's some moments in the movie where he gets some unexpected help along the way. And I submit to you that when you are committed to your goals and your dreams, when you're committed to being who you really want to be, and it's non-negotiable, even when you have those darkest of days, when you have those moments when you do want to just throw in the towel, you'll get unexpected help because by then you've made enough noise that someone or something is going to notice you. And it's going to give you a little nudge, a little positive reminder. Hey, I know it's hard. I know you're on the verge of giving up. I know you want to quit 1,000 times, but I believe in you. The way that you've been showing up has inspired me. So don't lose hope. You keep fighting the good fight. I don't know when you're going to have that breakthrough. I don't know when you're going to secure that promotion. I don't know when you're going to have that bonus or hit that sale, but you got to keep going. And so when we put all of these elements together, ladies and gentlemen, and you look at the fact that you have 168 hours in a given week, and then you can look at how you're spending each hour of each day, and you can account for the time that you're sleeping, you can account for the time that you're showering, you can account for the time that you're eating, you can account for the time that you're working out, and then you can really understand how much time am I really putting toward my goals and my dreams and my outcomes about who I want to be. And you have 100% control over that. And then that's where the magic can begin to happen. It's simply you getting organized with your time. That's all that it is. Who do you want to be? Well, let's start with the time map and let me see how I'm spending my time. Let me identify where there are moments throughout the days where I'm allowing my time to be wasted. I'm wasting it. There's a time leak. And I can plug those holes with activity that's going to get me to my outcome. And then just by the discipline of how you're showing up, Rudy was showing up for his goals and his dreams every day with 100% effort, with a great attitude, and an absolutely relentless spirit. And these are all things that are within your control. So I want to invite you to do a time map. I want to invite you to really look at how you're spending every half an hour And you could do it for a minute. You got to do it for at least 48 hours. You could do it a little bit longer, and you'll see. You'll identify where some of those leaks are, and you'll get better. You can tighten it up. And now you put that awareness with who you want to be, and you put forth the effort, the Rudy-like relentless spirit of effort and actions, and that's where you start to lay the foundations to create magic in your life and in the lives of others. Hope you got some value from this. If you did, please like and subscribe. Take this video, click share, and pass it on to some individuals that you want to bless as we move into the new year.